So this is the agenda today. It's quite a short introduction to the product that we're going to be using to cover the subject, converting classroom training to e-learning very quickly and easily. Most of you, I think, know Jamie and I. Jamie heads up the consulting and technical team. I head up sales and account management, really. This slide is just for those of you that are not familiar with Llama Brown to give you an idea of our experience and the sort of services we provide. This product, dominKnow One, that we're going to be using for this specific presentation, we've been working with since 2012. Okay, so what is dominKnow One? Okay, so it's a responsive tool, which means that when you create content, it automatically responds to whatever the device is that the learner is using to access that content. It is native HTML, which means it's not a conversion or an upgrade from Flash, and it can be accessed, as I said, from any device. Primarily, it's designed for non-system content, so the L&D stuff that we all know and love, but also it has a new mode that provides us with simulation. So these are recordings for IT systems, so it combines the two. Whichever mode you're using, it has an asset library, and that library is extensive, and you can add your own. So you can customize, add your own logos, and you can also control who sees what in the asset library. Now, part of the way in which we can accelerate content development using this tool is that it has a very powerful learning content management system, otherwise known as an LCMS, and Jamie will be covering that a bit later on. In terms of profiles, there are several. And again, those profiles, each person within the workflow has a role, and you can make that process or that methodology as long or as short as you wish in order to get that content through the process. Publishing out, of course, to multiple outputs, including those devices, but also documents. You can convert the content for import to a learning management system if you have one, or indeed you can publish to documentation. And Jamie will be covering the rapid authoring piece in more detail. Basically, it has features such as baselines, themes, knowledge bases, etc. We also report out in SCORM, which most content tracks and reports in SCORM, but with this product, we also have an output option for XAPI. Okay. Now, licenses are per author. There is no end user license, and I'll be expanding on that again in just a moment. And at the moment, we are hosting on a cloud in the UK. In fact, we're just about to, we have a secure cloud in the UK because we do a lot of work for government departments, but we're about to launch our cloud in the Middle East imminently as well. Okay, we do host though for the vendor who is they are a Canadian company, and we host for them exclusively in the UK, Europe, and the Middle East. So this is the awards that dominKnow has won recently. You can see it is a pretty well-known product, especially in North America. But that said, we do co-host stands at all the UK technology events as well. So dominKnow One then has 3 authoring modes: Flow, Claro, and Capture. The first one, Claro, is the one that we use for importing PowerPoint slides and migrating them to eLearning. Okay, it is what we call a traditional content authoring tool. It was the first mode, to be honest, and basically content is designed for a fixed size of display or dimension, not unlike PowerPoint really, which again is why we can bring those PowerPoint slides in. The newer product is Flow, and this is the truly responsive product, and basically authors create pages and that content expands, shrinks, or reorientates as they require it. The newest product is Capture. You can see it works across Windows and Macs. It records and publishes out, integrated if you wish, into your L&D content. So that enables you to create context around your simulation training. And as you would expect, the recordings give you the see it, the try it, etc. I've talked a bit about the publishing and also the profiles. So you can see there the multiple profiles are there for us. Okay, and Jamie will be covering that and the flow of that content through the learning content management system, sharing those assets and reusing the resources. So Jamie.
So for my demonstration, I'm going to focus on the parts of Domino 1 that allow rapid authoring or people to quickly create content. So it's not really going to be a deep dive into any particular area. It's just going to give you an overview of how you can quickly create content. So I'm in Domino now. First thing, I guess, for being able to quickly create content from a deployment point of view, this is cloud-based and you get to it through your browser. So there's no internal IT infrastructure required, and for somebody doing standard authoring, you don't need to install anything on their machine. They can just do it through their browser. Okay, so let me just give you just a quick preview here. And again, I'm doing this from the authoring interface. So as an author, you can see exactly what a course is going to look like for your learner. So I'm just going to walk through this course. This is a flow course, just give you a few ideas of the types of things we can have in here. And then I'm going to switch it around and show you the same course from a mobile device sort of size. Okay, so we've got a theme. We can change this theme. I'll show you that happening. The theme is really how somebody navigates through the content. So from an authoring point of view, you could create a course that is, they complete something on a page, then they click next to get to the next screen, they do something on that screen and so on and so forth. But you could change the theme and that theme could then push the content in a knowledge base, like a sort of like Wikipedia, and then they can search through it. So it could be point of use performance support. But from an authoring perspective, you just create the content once. You don't have to create it twice. You just push it out with a different theme, and I can show you that happening. Okay, this is just a sort of a standard page, but it'll be of interest when we look at it on a mobile device. There's lots of pre-built widgets and things like that. So we've got one here that notice that they can't move on from this page. So we'll just ask them up front, what's their level of confidence with this content? And then we can actually record that. So there are variables that sit behind. I'm not going to go into variables in detail at all in this call, but there are variables that hold content that you can reuse throughout the course or actually in other courses as well. So for this one here, for example, we could record our level of confidence before the course, then after it you could say, hey, this is what you thought, what do you think now? And we can control what people do on a page before they move on to the next one, so they can't move on yet. Okay, give it a feedback to this one. So this course, this page I should say, so this is another one of our widgets, but just notice on our full screen or desktop size, this is horizontal, okay? And this one doesn't change too much. And this page here, this is a timeline component. So again, it's pre-built. I'll go into talk about this in more detail when we go into the authoring interface. But again, a timeline component that builds down the screen, information on the left and the right as somebody's going through this. Okay. So if I now go back just to the start of this course, and again, as part of the theme, you can decide how people can navigate through the content. So we could have it that they can't actually choose to jump about and look at the page in any order, or you can have it that they can. So this one here is left on. I go back to here, and now we say, let's have a custom size. So what Domino is interested in is the horizontal screen space that somebody's using to look at the content. Although it has devices in here, this is just for us to sort of get a feel of different device sizes, but it doesn't actually, you don't actually build anything for a device. So if a new device comes on the market, your course is still fine because it will still have a horizontal screen size. So we go into this one here. So this is what our course is now going to look like. Okay, on this screen. So we go into this page. Now, if we remember on this size of screen, they were horizontal. We now go to the smaller size It's now vertical. So the rapid authoring sense of this is you only create one single course. You don't have to create a course for desktop, a course for an iPad, and a course for an Android mobile phone. You create the course once, and Domino is smart enough to know where things should reposition on the screen. You can also hide things as well. It might be there's a lot of text or an image it's nice on a desktop, but on a mobile device you don't want it there, so you can hide that out. Okay, we go to the next screen. Okay, so this will still work for us. Remember our tabs that we had? They were horizontal. When you go to the smaller screen size, they now will go vertical for us. We can even say what happens if someone puts their phone on its side, so it's not a portrait view. Okay, so that size of phone, someone put it on the side, and this is what they would see. Okay, so it's really smart in terms of how, when you're creating the content, what it can look like. And again, if we go to this screen here, desktop size, back down to our iPad sort of size, see the icons go to the left and the text goes to the right. So purely from a rapid authoring, the fact that this is responsive and the fact that you only have to make one single course and just make decisions, you can either make Domino, you can allow Domino just to make its own decisions, what it thinks best, or an author can actually go in there and tweak those as well. So both of those work. Okay. Right, so that's an outputted course, how that you only have to create it once and that helps your authoring. If I now actually go inside or back into Domino itself, so I'll walk through sort of different layers. So at the sort of the highest level, if we wanted to create a new course, I can go new. And here again, there's fast ways to do things. So Janice talked about importing from PowerPoint. So I wanted to import from my PowerPoint into here. So it's just quite a small PowerPoint, so it's quite fast. So we'll look at all the text that's in the PowerPoint, images, all the things that you've put into there, and it will import them in. And we will see once it's been imported in, you can edit those. So it doesn't come in, doesn't take a screenshot of a slide and put the whole slide in as like a screenshot an image where you can't edit things. Okay, so this has pulled it into Claro now. And there's only 2 slides. So a slide with text on it, I can now edit that text, and a slide that had some text on the left and an image on the right. Okay, so if you do have courses that, lots of courses in PowerPoint, and you just want to create them into a SCORM package, get them into an LMS really quickly, this is a good way of doing it. Another way we can quickly create courses is from a baseline. So baselines are sort of pre-created content, okay, that we can use. So if I click on baseline 1, give this a title. Get this project. Okay, so this baseline has come in as placeholders. Okay, so we've got placeholders for someone who would put their own text in here, change these titles. So you could have a baseline that works like this, or you could have a baseline that's it could be a full course with text in, etc., etc. And then people can use parts of that baseline. So say there was a course on that protecting information security. It might be somebody wanted to use part of that course, then they could just come in and grab it this way. But this baseline here is very much someone looks at this and then they can come in and just fill in the blanks. Okay, so that's a starting point as well. Another way they can create content, just go to new. There's a wizard. So if I wanted to create something myself, click on there, and the wizard will talk me through. So what type of experience do I want my learners to have? So this is where we're thinking, I talked about themes. So it's the type of navigation. So do we want navigation buttons in top right and top left? Do we want them side navigation? Do we want no navigation at all? So Domino Flow does support infinitely scrolling pages. So you could have all of your content in one page. So people are used to going to websites and scrolling down to get to content, reading news articles. If you wanted to create a course like that, you could do it. But I'm just going to use this first one here. And again, when we're in here, to use that player, there are different themes. These are system themes that we could use if I wanted to use any of them, or I can just start from scratch. So I'll just put this demo 07 and use this template. goes away. Okay, so we've now created a course, and now if I want to add things to this, again, there's fast ways that I can add things. So if I go into my page, there are pre-created pages, system pages that I can use. So say I wanted to put a title page in here. So these are all, because this is cloud version of the tool, it is a cloud tool, when new templates or page templates are added, then you automatically get them. So say I just like, let's just put this one in. Okay, and if I just want this above that page, we can just drag it up. Okay, so that page is above. And key thing here is, even though there are templates, they're not, once they're in there, I can do anything I want. So if I wanted to change that image, I can change it. Wanted to change this text, I can change it. Okay, so you can edit all of these things. So the page templates are just a starting point, even if they are system ones. Another type of page template you can use have been created by other users, or other authors, I should say. So if I go into here, there's a search option. So I want to search for pages. Okay, and I can preview them. So these might be pages that I've created myself. So anything as an author, if I've created, I can automatically reuse it through this interface. Or it might be pages that are part of a baseline. So all authors can see all baselines, so I could use that. Or it might just be another course that I've co-authored with another author. We'll speak about multi-author environment, but if I've co-authored a course, I also have access to it. Let's just say I quite like this one here, gives me a little preview. Okay, we'll close that out, and again, I can just pull this up. We can just rename that. So we've now got names and objectives for my course. Okay, and this might be the standard one that people use. And again, I can now go in and change the text, add more to this page. It's just a starting point. So this page here itself has no link back to the original, but if I wanted to have a link between that, then I can also do it. So if I go into page and search again. So if I talk about a learning object, so a learning object is a chunk of content. Okay, so it could be pages plus test questions, things like that. So a chunk of content. So if I go into there, we search an introduction. Okay, so again, we'll have a few of these, but have a look at this. This is the default introduction. So if you remember the Protect Information Security and Privacy course that I just showed at the start, the introductory learning object from that, if I wanted to reuse it, and I can preview it here. Yep, quite happy with that. I want to use that and just change it for my own needs, change the text, I can do that. But I may not want to. If I choose to insert this, another fast way of authoring is that I can choose to duplicate. So if I duplicate this learning object that has no link to the original one, I can do what I want with it. But it might be that, say there's a standard set of courses, might be induction courses, and I want it that if anyone changes that page, it also reflects my course. So there might be one group that's what they look after. They look after that content, but it has to be present in many courses. If I choose to share and close, so you see this whole learning object has come in. Again, if I wanted to, I could drag it up to the top. And it's shared here. So this means that I don't have to make any changes. If this is in my course, and if someone comes in and changes this title, changes the image, it also changes in my course. So it's a decision as an author about how I want that to work. Okay, so that's at a page level, adding pages in. What about content when you actually got content on a page? So let me just add in a blank page. So again, if I want to start from scratch and build everything myself, I can certainly do that. I'm not stuck to building on stuff that other people have created. Okay, so our page is now in here. So what we can do here is I can insert objects individually. So if I go to the Insert tab, all sort of the usual suspects are in here. So rich text, tables, lists, images, videos. So I can insert them from here, or I can use this bit down at the bottom here. So this is giving me suggestions about what I might want to put onto my page. So at the start, because there's nothing on here, Domino is suggesting, hey, maybe you want to put a header on here. So I'll put a header on. And again, once this is in here, I can change this. I can type today, spell checker in there as well. Okay. Notice now there are some smarts built into here. It now knows that if I get header 1 on my course for accessibility reasons, any text I put on now, it says, well, that should be header 2. I can build that from there. Other things that I can do to help me quickly create content. If I click on add sections, so pages are made up of sections and the content lives inside those sections. And there's lots of pre-built sections that I can use. So we've just seen the header 1 section, for example, in here. If I scroll down, we've got images, we've got carousels, and notice when I hover over any of them, it gives me a little preview of what it looks like. So I don't have to put it onto my page to see what it is. So if I'm just unsure of something, perhaps I'm new to the product, I'm not sure what things are, then so character and speech, what does that look like? I can just hover over and I can see how that works. Notice there's a little star thing here. So as I'm going through, so there's many, many different things in here. So there's tab sets, different types of containers, panels, cards, the timeline that we looked at, down to different buttons. I want that button on a page to do something. Again, gives me a preview. Yeah, click on it. So there's an interactive framework that works behind here, so you can trigger lots of different actions based on anything that's on your page or a timing from your page. If you want to do quizzes, you can quickly chuck them in as well. So on the right hand, so this is really just lots of pre-built functionality that I can use, and anything that I think I'm going to use a lot, I can just put it into my favorites. It's going to go into here. Okay, so perhaps I want a timeline. Click on there. And it's now built a timeline in there for me with some some text that I can then go in and change as required. So it's helping me build this content. And things like this, for example, this is responsive out of the box. So again, you just want to build things once. All these pre-built components, I can, if I look at what this looks like on a mobile device, so again, you can see that from the authoring stage. I don't have to put it into preview. I can click on here. So this is what this is going to look like on a mobile device. I can go back up to the full screen. So as an author, when I'm creating this, I can do that as well. Other things that I might want to put into here, if I click on, I want to put an image in. Okay, so images can come from a stock. So I click on the stock library. So there's a host of things in here. I just go into images, see all these kind of things are in, perhaps technology. So lots of different images in there are all tagged, and they're all different sizes. So large down to medium, and it shows you the size. So it's a very functional stock library in there if you want to use that to build up your content. The other type of, or the place that images live, I go back into image, if I go to the media library. So this sits behind dominKnow 1, so it sits behind Flow and Claro, and all authors have access to this. So authors by default can upload assets. So an asset could be an image, could be a video, could be, still supports legacy Flash if you're still doing that, audio, any sort of documentation, software simulation, which we'll come to, okay? And there's just other source files that you might want to reference, you can upload them as well. So all authors can upload that into the project assets of their course, and then they themselves can reuse that. The other option is that you can have company level assets. Okay, so these are assets by default everyone can use. So it could be something like a logo. So if I choose to insert this logo in, so the logo is going underneath the page here. But the benefit of using the media library, I can again get back to the media library up here, is that I can change this or replace. So if I replace this with another logo, then you can tell it to replace that across all of your courses. So it's very fast. If there's a change in branding or something like that, then you can just go in, and as long as they live, you put them in at the company assets level, and you can just switch them over. Okay, so the media library is very powerful, and everyone can collaborate and reuse content. Okay, next thing we're going to look at, I'm just going to create, use this to create, this is our blank layouts. Just going to create a space in there. So if we want to create a software simulation, okay, so create a space for it to put it on my page. I want to record simulation. So this is the only part of the tool that needs an installation. So it's a very small program that runs on the desktop. If somebody has permission to install applications on their desktop, it will automatically install it. So there's no need for IT to be involved at all. If they don't have permission, then it can be pre-installed onto people's desktops, and it'll just link up that way. So I just decide I want to record a simulation. I'm just going to do something in Word. Do full screen. So I'm just going to click about quickly. A few things. Go back into Capture. Okay, so I'm now in Capture. So I've just recorded clicking through. So for speed, it understands the action. So it was a click, understands the name of the object you clicked on, which was home, and it's put a nice little action area around it. You can move this about, you can put extra details in, there's lots of different things you can do. You can re-record steps, remove steps. Capture itself, we could do a whole session just on Capture, so I'm not really going to go into it in more detail other than showing you it's very quick to record something. I just now need to save this. Just so I can find it again. Okay, so once I've saved it, I just click on Share for authoring. Okay, so there are different modes within Capture. I just quickly have a kind of a preview from here just so I can see it before I do anything with it. So you've got the Show Me mode that just walks people through the process. Okay, so any instructions you want to give them over here. You've got Try Me, and I can go full screen if I wanted. I just have to read what should I do. Click on Home and click on Insert. So I'm actually trying it myself. Guide, it's really for printed output. So you've got your nice big screen there, and from here you can download this as a Word document. Okay, go from there. Practice and test is when you actually, if you want to show your competence. So practice, I have to know what step to do, and if you get it wrong, it will give me a hint, so click on Insert. So practice is a test mode, but if this went into an LMS, that wouldn't be tracked, and the test mode is the one that's tracked. So it's got that full sort of suite of options that we have in there. Oops. Okay, just go back to Capture. And I go next now. So if I want to push this into Flow, I just drag it. So I've done my preview, I'm happy with it. I can just drag and drop it in there. Okay, just have to give it a name. So this capture now also lives in the media library. So if one of my colleagues wanted to use this in their course, they could come and use it as well. Or somebody else had to edit it. I was on annual leave and I couldn't edit it. It doesn't live in my machine, it lives in the media library. So now we've got our capture course in here as well. Okay, so if I wanted to now come back and just preview this page. That's the right one. Preview the current page. Okay, so we'll get onto course. We've got our little timeline about what's happening on this page. Come down here. We've got the simulation itself. And I've decided I want this to run in the show me mode, but you can decide any mode you want, or in fact, you can put buttons up here and let people choose which mode they want to look at it in. Okay, so once we have created some content, if we want to interact or work with other authors or other colleagues, How can we do that? So notice the little ticks we've got next to these pages. So this means this page is checked out to me. So I'm the one that can edit this page. Okay, actually I'll go to this one here because that'll be a little bit easier. I'm the one that can edit this page. Down at the bottom left here, I can commit this, and I could put ready for edits. Okay, so this is now checked in. There's no tick there, and I can, if I want to invite someone to collaborate with me, top right authors, add an author. I might decide that I'm going to add in Tom Lee. Notice here there's a notification sent, so there is email traffic that if you wish can go on. So this will send an email to Tom to say that he's been invited to this course as an author. Assignment in there. And that's it. So now he can come in and he can edit any page that I've checked in, he can come in and edit, and vice versa, so we can fully collaborate on this course. From a review point of if you want someone to review the content, so review there, you can put review dates on it. So you can say it's open for perhaps a 2-week period. And then again, I can add reviewers. I click on reviewers. Now, the key thing about reviewers is that people do not have to be again, so I'm going to put Tom Clark on as a reviewer and assign them. Reviewers don't need a license. Okay, so reviewers just have to have an email address. So I can invite anyone I wish to be a reviewer. They get a nice introductory email that says you've been invited to review this product or this course, and they get a very quick tutorial on how to review content, and they can go from there. In terms of how the review works, we've seen a bit of it already. If I go into preview and full project, just move this out of the way. So this is the little review options at the top. So all of the review goes on through the Domino interface. People don't need to take screenshots and put them into a Word document or spreadsheet or put them into straight into an email. You can just put comments on things as we're going through. So if I wanted to put a comment on this page, for example, a new comment, let's move this out of the way. Okay, so we can just add that comment on. Notice the little agree bit here. So all the reviewers who are reviewing a course or a product, they can all see each other's comments. So if someone else agrees with this, they can just tick on that and agree. So it's the reviewers are not just collaborating with the authors of the course, they're also collaborating with each other. And it can go down, so that was like a page comment. We can go into just individual objects. Okay, so I go to inline questions. So I go down to here, might be a new comment. So this icon doesn't make sense. Okay, so when if an author comes to review this, they'll see it was actually on this icon here. It does go into accessibility. So if I wanted to say this one here, it will show me, is this item focusable for a screen reader? What specific text in there? Is there alt text in there? So there's not for any of this. So I'd probably put a comment on saying this is required. So it lets you look at those things as well. Okay, so the review side of it is really fast to do reviews, and it all stays in the same place. Okay. Notice here now, I'm back in the authoring view. I've got two little indicators that shows I have comments on these pages. So I go into here, and okay, let's move this out of the way. Okay, so I can now go in and edit this page if required and look at those comments. So I can see up here I've got the comment. Click on show comments, and I can see what the comment was. Okay, it was that icon on the page that I need to change. So lastly, once we've been through all of the review we've completed all the changes that are required. And just to say as well, there is a two-way conversation between reviewers. So if I make a change, I can tell Domino to notify the person that made that comment that this is the change that's been made and this is why it's been made. So you can do that as well. But finally, once that's been through that cycle, if we want to publish this out, just go back to my project. So there is a life cycle that allows us to track where we are in development. So if I look at this life cycle down at the bottom here, this is for each course. So there are standard ones in here from storyboarding right the way through to approved and approved locked. So if there was a project manager who's managing multiple projects or multiple pieces of development, they can come in and see where each piece is in the development cycle. And also you can have bespoke categories in there. So if you wanted to say these are courses that are health and safety, these are just general compliance courses, these are IT courses, whatever it might be, then you can categorize all of that as well, and you can manage all that as we go through. But when we come to publish out, so once we're ready for that, we can hit on publish. There is a checklist in here. So is this rapid, or is this just making sure everyone does what they should do? It's a bit of both, I guess. So if I wanted to see the checklist, okay, so the checklist can be as big or as small as you want it to be, but these are all the things that have to happen before content is published out. Okay, so say it's accessibility we're looking at. So have all images got alt text on them? Yes, they have. No, they don't. So you have to go through it and tick these. So just make sure it doesn't matter who authors it, everyone should be authoring to the same standards. And the administrators of this system, you can decide. Notice here it gives me a choice. Do I want to continue to publish without completing the checklist? That's a system setting. You could have it set that you just can't. It just says you've not completed the checklist, you can't publish. So again, it's a quick way of making sure everyone's done what they need to do. If I just click on yes, and now we get our different outputs. So if I wanted just a web output, so I could put the same content just onto a web server. If I wanted to put it onto an LMS, SCORM, we've got all different SCORM outputs. Onto an LRS, you could do that as well. You have to choose XAPI, choose the LRS we want to push the content out to, and we can work from there. There's also an option, don't quite have it in this one's a demo system, there's an option for document outputs. So I wanted to output, say it was a lot of capture simulations and we wanted to output them to a Word document or a PDF, then we could do that as well, and we could push that out. Okay. So I think that is everything I wanted to show you in terms of rapid content creation. As I say, it's just almost like a light touch into each of those areas. Pretty much any area we looked at today, we could have spent a whole session on it, but hopefully that's given you an idea of how you can rapidly create content within dominKnow 1.
That's great, Jamie. Thank you. So this is a cloud tool. There's only a browser required, really, no installation as such, although the author who records capture, that is the simulation tool, will need a very small plugin. If your systems are not locked down, then that plugin happens automatically. From a learner perspective, there is absolutely no plugin at all. Okay, so in terms of IT costs, really, there just aren't any. If you host with Llama Brown, we basically set up your installation along the lines of a single tenancy. So that basically means, for example, we've just completed an upgrade of this product. We actually talk to you about the upgrade, make sure it fits in with your development requirements. We don't want to be upgrading the tool when you're halfway through a deployment. Okay, the product itself is subject to an annual subscription. As we've said, it's author only, so no license required for the learners or indeed for the reviewers. And you can see there the pricing, depending on volume of licenses, of course, it's between around £3,000 a year or 4,200 US dollars. So quite affordable, really, given that it is a single tenancy type product. So for us, the next step really, if you want more information, is a one company Q&A session where we can answer any questions you've got specifically and actually demonstrate those features that you're particularly interested in. I will be attaching a copy of our dominKnow 1 brochure with the slides and the recording as part of the follow-up. We also run proof of concept sessions. Some of our clients have learning management management systems, and they need to be sure that this content can be imported and that learners can access the content through their learning management system, and of course that their activity is tracked and reported. Okay, we also offer what we call supported trials or evaluations, where we help you really to evaluate the product in your own time by providing you a dedicated support person at that time.